This is a minimalistic animated registration form built using HTML and CSS. It's a responsive web page, so it looks good on any device, including the web version as well as in mobile devices. And it has 6 input fields starting from full name, email, username, and then select user drop-down list where you can select either the customer or the client, a password input field and a confirm password field. And each of them have their own icons, and this comes from the box icon library. And then we have the register button to submit the form. And then if the user already has an account, there will be a hyperlink from which the user can log in. Now let's see how we can build this website. You will need starter files for this web page. There will be a zip file which will be linked in the video description. You can download it and extract the files and then open that folder on VS Code. You can just drag and drop the folder on VS Code. In the starter files, you will be seeing 2 links here. The first one goes for the box icons library, and then this is our style.css file. From here we'll start coding our HTML page, and this would be the background that we will be using for this web page. And this is the style.css part. We use a special font here called Poppins, and these are the default style values for this web page. And then we have the CSS variables. Mostly these are colors, frequently used colors on this web page. And then we have a few more sections for element styling, class styling, and then one for responsive design and then animations. Now let's start coding the HTML part of this web page. We can use this to see a live preview of our website in a mobile version. First we'll create a wrapper class. Inside that we'll have a register box div, and then we'll have a register header, which will have a span called register. Next we'll have the form container, which will have an input box div, and inside this input box we will have the input fields, a label and the icon. This will be for full name. It will have a class of input field with the required validation, and then we'll have the label, which is for full name and full name here. It will also have a class called label, and this is the icon we'll be using. And then you just need to copy this 5 times. And then this field will be email. This will be for username, and this would be the drop down list. First we'll type select. It will have an ID of user type and a class of input field, and then this will have 2 options. One would be the customer and this one would be the client, and we'll use this icon here, and this would be for the password. We can delete this and take a copy of password because we'll be creating a confirm password input box, but this will have a different icon. Actually we can change the icon on this one, and then we'll have another div for the submit container, which is for the submit button, in this case the register button. It will have an input of type submit with the value of input submit, with a class of input submit, and the value would be register. And then another div called login, which will give us the information of are you already a user or do you already have an account, with a hyperlink to login. And then there's an anchor tag which would not point to any other link at the moment. It will have the value of login, and that would be all for the HTML part of this web page. And let's just see what it looks like here. We have the full name, email, username, and then you can either select customer or the client, and then 2 fields for the password, a register button along with a login option. Now let's start styling this web page. We can now start styling with element styling. Starting from the body element, we will set the background image here. We'll also add background color here, but this won't be used at the moment. I'll show you why I added this color here in a bit. We'll open this on Live 7 and see how this looks like on Chrome, and this is what it looks like right now. I'll enable the background color for the moment and then comment the background image, because each time I start styling an element on this side, the screen keeps flickering on this side due to an image being there. So we'll use a color here, and whenever we check the website on the web page, we'll switch back to the image. Now we can style the hyperlinks. We can now jump to class styling. The first class we'll be styling would be the wrapper class. We have to do some minor changes for this to look great on a mobile view. So first we'll do that part, which will be under responsive design. An overflow of hidden. This can be used to hide the scroll bar when we have a mobile view. And this is for the register box. And that would be all for the responsive part of the CSS style sheet. We can now get back to the class styling again. This will be for the register box. And this page and this element will have an animation called scale up. We can now style the header. And this would be the styling for the span inside the header. And we will be adding two small pseudo elements right next to the header in this area on both sides. Let's see how we can do that now. One would be done using before, and this will be the after element, which will be for the right side of the header. Most settings will be similar to this one, so we'll just copy paste and change some parts. This will be right and this will be left, and this is -15. Now we'll style the form container. Now the input box. Now the input field. This would also have an animation called bounce down. We will be setting the keyframes at the end of the style sheet. And this would give this color whenever you click an input field. Now we can style the label. Now we can start styling the icons. and now the option in the drop down list, and then the submit container. Now we can style the button, and now the hover effect. Okay, now let's check with the background image and see how this looks now. Okay, the labels are not showing up. Let's see what the issue is. Okay, so make sure to go to your HTML page and make this change. This is not a hyphen. It should be this one. Okay, now everything looks correct. We have the register button. Let's also check the web. And we'll change back the image for the moment. We'll now continue the rest. And that would be all for the class styling. And since the overflow is hidden, you cannot scroll through this. We can briefly remove it and see. And now this thing is scrollable. We'll also change it back to the background image instead of that background color. And this is what the form looks like right now. We'll turn this back to hidden. Now we'll set the animations, mostly the keyframes in this section. This would be the scale up animation, and this would be the bounce down animation for the input boxes. This will start from 0 and then it would go all the way up to 100. And with that, our web page is now completed. Let's now see how the finished web page looks like. And this is what the finished web page looks like. We have a full name column and then an email option. We can choose client or customer. I'll choose client here. And then we can set a random parcel here. And then we have the register button to submit the form. And then if you have an account, there is an option to click the login button. And that would be all for this video, so make sure to subscribe to my channel to stay updated for my future videos.